What's up, readers? Today, I want to teach you that sometimes when we think a character changes, it's actually our perception of them that changed. Stick around for after the intro, and I'll show you what I mean. Check it out. Okay, so I'm going to use an example. One time I met this guy, Ian, and I thought he was full of himself and that he didn't like me. But what I came to find out was that actually he is very similar to me. He's shy, and it's sometimes hard for him to want to get to know people. And after I kind of realized all of that, I understood that he hadn't changed over time, but it was my perception of him. In that same way, I want you to understand that in our stories, sometimes, that is exactly what happens. It's not our character that changes. It's us. So then we're kind of left to wonder why our perspective of them changed. So we are going to take a look at a video, and I'm going to stop it at a certain point and be prepared to share with your partners for why you think this character in the beginning of the story seems like a bad kid. And I'm sure that that's what you're going to be thinking. In fact, I know that the author or the creator of this video probably intended for us to think that. Watch the video with me now. So, share with your partner now details from what we just saw about why this is a bad kid, why he's a troubled kid. So, I bet a lot of your talk had to do with spray painting and graffiti. And there's a lot of different details in there that the author deliberately, on purpose, wanted you to see. Details that they purposely wanted you to think they were bad for, that they were a troubled kid, even to the point where he comes in the house and the mom kind of rolls her eyes at him. Moms are so good at that. Moms, why are you so good at rolling your eyes? Sheesh. Anyways, I'm letting you know right now that the author is going to change your mind. The author has set you up. They've kind of tricked you. And this character that we thought was one way, we will perceive to be a different way by the end of this video. So we're going to pick up the video where we left off, and as soon as you see any details that alert you that something is different, write those details down and then keep writing details down. But make sure to pay attention to that first one. I bet as some of you were watching that, you might have gasped out loud. Now, I want you to pause the video again, and you're going to compare with your partners. What was the first moment you had where you were rethinking about this boy, about this troubled boy? And what led you to see the boy differently? So What's so interesting to me about this, and should be interesting to you, is that our character didn't change this whole time. They were the same character. Their intentions were same. They didn't change. We changed. It kind of reminds me of, and most of you won't get this, in The Matrix. If you haven't seen The Matrix, maybe you'll see it someday. When the boy who's at the Oracle makes the spoon bend. Okay? And we think, oh, he can bend spoons. And then Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, is like, how do you make the spoon bend? And he says something along the lines of, over time, you'll see that it's not the spoon that bends, but it's you. Something like that. And it's that same way here, that perspective, like we've been talking about this the whole time, how we're seeing things from the author's point of view. Our perspective also matters, the perspective of the reader. And this doesn't only work in this story that was specifically crafted in that way. You're reading a lot of well-written stories, and I'm sure that you're not getting all of the details that you need purposely because of the writer. So in reality, as your story's going on, even though I'm sure that characters do change over time, and they should, you should be paying attention to your thoughts about your character and whether your perception of them is the one that's changing and not the character themselves. Now, it might be something subtle, like in How to Transform an Everyday Hoop Court into a Place of Higher Learning and You at the Podium. In that story, we're learning more about the father, and therefore, the father is not changing. The father is who he was and always will be, for the most part in our story. But it's our perception of him. And by that I mean that in the beginning, we thought he was kind of a grump, that he ignored the kid and didn't really care about him. But when we see him in the scene with the police officer, he's sticking up for him. And we see a very different side of him. And so our perspective and our view of him absolutely changes in that moment. So I want you to be alert to those epiphanies that we come across today. An epiphany is that like sudden realization, that aha light bulb moment. That's that moment that you recorded today with your partner. Be thinking about those as you read, and be trying to notice any tiny details that are starting to, that begin the change in your perspective about a character. Okay, readers. Until I see you next time, happy reading.